to Virtual Book Signing. I'm Daniel Weinberg, and as always, we're broadcasting from Abraham Lincoln Bookshop in Chicago, and the weather is awful, but we still have a bit of a crowd here, which is kind of nice. But I know you're sitting at home and enjoying it on your couch, and that's a good place to be. Remember that you can always email in questions while we're live, and if you're watching in the archive, if you want to get a book that has been signed, signed first edition, we'll have them as they last. So do call in or email and let us know that you'd like one. And of course, if you're watching this for the first time, don't forget to make sure that you're on our email list, so email that in to us so you will not miss anything that's upcoming on Virtual Book Signing. This is now, we're over 6 years doing this, and we have a good archive, so I hope you will all enjoy that as well when you can't sleep at 2 in the morning. Today I'm happy to have two wonderful historians in different media, really, but nonetheless, first of all, Michael Burlingame, who you all know has been here before, PhD from Johns Hopkins University. He taught it for years and years at Connecticut College. He's holding the Chancellor Naomi B. Lynn Distinguished Chair in Lincoln Studies at the University of Illinois in Springfield. Author of numerous books, including Abraham Lincoln, A Life, winner of the Lincoln Prize in 2010, the Green Monster, as I'm hearing that this is called. But this is a basic work now, and you can't continue on in Lincoln Studies without this. We have very few of these here in stock right now, so if you do want one, you're watching live, get to us quickly, because these will go while Michael is here to be able to sign. Lincoln and the Civil War, The Inner World of Abraham Lincoln, another. And of course, he's been an editor of a dozen books or more on Lincoln primary source materials. And he was inducted, along with myself, at the Lincoln Academy of Illinois in 2009. I think there were 705 of us, if I remember correctly, but still. And together with Michael today, Robert Shaw, professional landscape photographer from Central Illinois for over 25 years. He's the author of Illinois Seasons of Light and also Windy City Wild, Chicago's Natural Wonders. His photography has been published by National Geographic Books and Abrams Books, and his photographs have been used as well by the Old State Capitol Foundation in Springfield, Illinois, and Looking for the Lincoln Heritage Coalition. Today, their joint book is Abraham Lincoln Traveled This Way, the America Lincoln knew. It's a narrative by Michael Burlingame and the photography by Robert Shaw. There's also some narrative by Abraham Lincoln in this, I think, too. Firelight Publishing produces it in association with John Warner IV. It's 274 pages and is $36 and is just one gorgeous book, as you're going to see. Maybe I can just show you a page so you have an idea of the way the book is set up. That it has a photograph that Robert has produced of a site, and then he and Michael have found Lincoln's own writing that is evocative of that moment or tells of that moment, and then you give a short little history of what we're all looking at. And so all those three together go through the book, and I think you will enjoy it as that. I think that this is actually a coffee table page turner, if there is such a thing. This is it. Another book that we're featuring today, because this just came out, this is Burlingame's latest, Lincoln and the Civil War, by Southern Illinois University Press, 165 pages, $19.95. We have maybe one left to sell today, but we'll have more later on with book plates. This is part of the acclaimed Concise Lincoln Library series, and if you don't know that, they're wonderful books. This is the fourth one out, I think, and they're on various aspects of Lincoln and something. This is on Lincoln and the Civil War, and we'll ask a few questions on that. There's been one on Lincoln and Greeley and others as well. So let's get started, as I always do for authors. How did you get to this book, this wonderful Abraham Lincoln Traveled This Way, the America Lincoln knew? This is fascinating. Tell me about it.
Well, I've been photographing, Lincoln sites for 20 years, and had really never seen many of the sites photographed very well, and that's kind of where it started. I started photographing sites, trying to just make a collection of nice photographs, but then this concept started developing, because I wanted to try to develop it into a book. And the concept basically is telling Lincoln's life story, starting in his birthplace and going through to the White House. And the whole attempt is to take people back into Lincoln's time and to try to get them to see Lincoln's experience and to, get a sense of what Lincoln's experience was like. And that meant not photographing only historic sites, structures, buildings, homes, but actually including photographs of like the prairies and the rivers, because he spent so much time traveling the prairies and the rivers by horseback, horse and carriage, and of course his younger years, and he just spent a great deal of time out there. So I knew that had to be incorporated for people to get a real sense of it. And I think in 2012, it's really hard for people to get a sense of that because so much has changed. So it took a lot of research, a lot of work, a lot of digging to tie that all together. And the main thing is I wanted to do everything very accurately. So we went to great lengths, and that's where Michael comes in. But we wanted to keep it very seasonal, and what I mean is the way Lincoln would experience them, like his travels on the circuit, for example. He just traveled the circuit in the spring and the fall, so you wouldn't include a winter photograph of those locations. But in Springfield,
well, you've had a couple of photographs in there actually that were both a summer and a winter because he was there all year round.
Exactly.
It was nice to see that.
In Springfield, he would have been there year round. So we were careful to do that, and of course the biggest thing was just in trying to take people back into Lincoln's time is you had to photograph things in such a way to keep modern elements out.
But you wouldn't Photoshop to get
but
telephone poles and power lines out.
Exactly, not using Photoshop. It's just using composition to keep things out, and sometimes that was difficult. There's only one time where we had to Photoshop a thing out, and that's at the U.S. Capitol, because on the steps there's always two guards with machine guns.
That's a little anachronistic.
That wasn't going to work.
I was hoping you would Photoshop out the congressman. Okay.
But the second inaugural speech, I really felt he did two speeches from that east side of the Capitol, and we really felt we should include that. So,
what sort of camera did you use?
I use all Nikon digital, and we photograph everything in RAW, which is trying to get the highest resolution images.
I found when I was going through this, and I was reading and kind of enveloping myself in it, and I found myself slowing down, just internally watching and putting myself where Lincoln was, down that one road where you would have gone on circuit that you had through the field, and it was just a path, and it was that, and also the silence that must have been there at that time and was there at that time. Today we can't get away from noise anywhere.
Michael was talking about that yesterday.
And I look at that, and it's the silence of the world that's fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He spent somebody I remember had read years ago. They talked about how when he would travel the circuit, he had all this time to think and process things, and really was. And that kind of clicked with me because I thought, I think they're onto something, in developing that great mind of his. He just so.
Now, how did the two of you get together?
Well, actually, a couple of years into the project, I always felt the book should have a narrative to kind of tie everything together, and of course Lincoln's writings, which connect to each location. The whole thing is just kind of woven together. But my thought was, okay, I would need a good narrator. Who would be my number one choice? And I thought I would give it a shot, and if in great fortune to have it, Michael was very gracious and was interested, and
it's good to have someone like Michael nearby as well.
So it's been a great privilege and very exciting for me to be able to work with Michael.
And for me too. One of the disappointments I had when I published The Green Monster, that is to say Abraham Lincoln: A Life, is that my publisher didn't allow me to have any color illustrations and didn't allow me to have many black and white illustrations. And so when Bob came along and made the suggestion that I provide a narrative, and then he showed me some of his photographic work, which is very beautiful. I thought, well, this would be an ideal companion to Abraham Lincoln A Life, and so I was pleased to be able to collaborate. And the excerpt, the text of the narrative is largely taken from Abraham Lincoln A Life. So if you like what you read in that, there's a big version of it, a bigger version available.
It was interesting that out of the 251 pages, it wasn't until 198 that we hit Washington. And it was so much of here in the Midwest, the old Northwest at the time, I suppose, fading away at that as well. But he lived most of his life here, of course, but was that preponderance of photography in Illinois intentional, or?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was because, of course, he lived in Illinois nearly 30 years. I mean, he was just in Washington 4 years, and we were tried to be real careful and keep maintaining that balance and not underestimating the significance of his work on the circuit and as a lawyer, and I mean that's all what helped develop and create that greatness prior to going to Washington. So
you have a wonderful list in the back of the historic sites related to Lincoln. It's a wonderful list. And are most of those accessible, first of all, today?
Yeah, most of them are, and I mean that was part of the goal of the book, is actually to try to get people interested and go visit a lot of the sites. You can learn so much when you actually go there and experience them. And
Sure.
One thing we tried to do with the book too is I knew it had to appeal to devout admirers of Lincoln and seasoned scholars, but then we were trying to make it appeal to people that were new to Lincoln and young people, and so it had to appeal to a broad spectrum of people. And I think we succeeded in that.
And I think largely that's a function of the beauty of the photographs. Because it's not
Oh, yeah,
only
positively.
not only they're evocative because Lincoln was there, but they're just beautiful works of art. And each one of those photographs was carefully planned out. Well, you tell that story.
Oh yeah, well the book project as a whole really is a compilation of 200 and probably 250 projects. Because each photograph is a project in itself. Most of them are the result of a lot of planning, and a lot of them you would work on for 2, 3, 4 years, and it would require many return trips to study everything from the lighting, and then when you actually get there to get the right weather conditions, and there was a lot of seasonal things that would affect the photographs. So there were a lot of things kind of come into play, and
We have a if I can do, I need 1/3 hand right now. We have from Jake in San Diego, this question has come in, my email. Don't forget, if you're online now, if you want to email in a question, do it. Civil War historians have long understood the value of visiting historic sites, like battlefields, to properly understand them. Lincoln's history seems more abstract, a story of ideas and words. Of course, this has both. Why is it important to visit Lincoln sites to understand the man?